What do you think?
We're fine. The mics are hot. Hot, and cold.
Hot, and cold. Indeed. That's what we're known for, according to the interwebs.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Got to bring that segment back.
AI was when I searched for Nikka baseball, it said something like known for their hot and cold segments.
Oh, cool.
Thought that was kind of funny.
We have to continue with these segments.
All right. Well, yes, indeed, it is once again time for the Nikka Sports Show. And we are coming to you live from the desert this Sunday for a special Royal Rumble recap episode / review, I guess. Nikka is joining me once again, as always. It was her first ever Royal Rumble.
Yes, indeed, it was. And hello to our listeners all over the world. We have a very special podcast today for you.
Well, we're reviewing and reacting to last night's WWE Royal Rumble, which happened in Indianapolis and was attended in person by over 70,000 people.
Impressive. Most impressive.
Damn.
Huge.
I don't think that WWE has ever been bigger right now than it is globally.
It expanded a lot.
There is a lot of interest online, on Twitter, during the live show and everything, which is interesting to me because I feel like the product isn't necessarily as good as it once was. We'll talk about that as we go on. But, yeah, we're kind of coming at this cold, if you will. We have not been keeping up with wrestling at all.
No, we have not. We have not.
And I think there's like 2 or 3 shows a week now when I'm looking at the website, and just just so we're clear up front, we are not going to be following this regularly like this. We have no time to keep up with it. And also the Raw that we did watch on Netflix, it was boring.
It was.
This was much more interesting and fun, and I think it's because there was no commercial breaks and like...
That's a good point. There was no commercial breaks during the fights. There were commercials, but not during the fights, which
Correct.
was really nice.
It was nice, and I appreciated just being able to sit back on a Saturday night and kind of take it all in. And
and we did take it all in.
We did, and it got going pretty quickly right away because... the women's Royal Rumble started, and I just want to say that's one of the biggest changes for me coming at this. I bring some late 80s, early 90s experience with me to the WWF, well, when it was called WWF, and then I kind of resumed watching in the late 90s, early 2000s, I think as a lot of people did during the Rock, Stone Cold, Triple H era, D-Generation X, Shawn Michaels. I can go on and on. But basically, yeah, I have a nostalgia for the wrestling that was given to me, I think, because this was brought to television in my generation in the mid-'80s. And it was made into this big spectacle for people and kids just like me.
But it wasn't as big when you were growing up.
It was not. It was a little bit more niche, I think. But like kids were watching it. My friends watched it both when we were younger and when we were older, and it was like 2 different sets of friend groups at that point.
Okay.
And it's not passing judgment on either friend group or anything like that. But as you change friends during your younger years, like and your 10 years of evolution, yet. We found commonality in it, and it wasn't necessarily it was just something fun to watch and shoot the shit over, I guess.
But was the Rumble part of a WWE wrestling back in the day, or
Yeah,
this is a new invention?
I think one of the things that interested in me about checking out this Royal Rumble last night was, we had just watched like Raw on Netflix, and we had wanted to, I think, kind of follow up and take it to the next level with the Peacock thing, and just find out if there's a way for us to sort of have a little bit of wrestling, but not like a full-time 3 times a week, 3 hours at a time. That's too much.
Yes.
And I don't think the juice is really worth the squeeze at all.
It's like watching a soap opera with bad writing.
Well, that's funny to me because you mentioned the writing, and they're actually hiring 2 writing jobs right now on their website that have been posted for over 30 days.
Yes.
Let's get those applications processed, guys, and get some writers in there because you need some help. I want to point out, before we get into like just the back and forth of some of the matches and the reactions of what we watched, there is something big missing from this overall production for me.
Okay.
For me, as someone that grew up watching this stuff that I just can't get escape from, is where are all the backstage interviews with this talent?
Are you talking the backstage interviews before the match or after the match? Or it
Before the
doesn't matter?
match.
Okay.
Like, I guess I just feel like there should be more character development or getting to know these people for people like you and me. Like, you've never seen a Royal Rumble
No.
before. You're coming in like almost stone cold, no pun intended, but you're coming in stone cold to this. You have no idea of like previous storylines or anything. And it's like, where is the sizzle reels to get me caught up on like the history and the drama? And where are the backstage interviews with the talent here to get us familiar with them and maybe form an opinion about whether we like them or not? You know, like that's part of this.
Sure. And knowing that this show was very long, I'm surprised they didn't have those sizzle reels.
It just seems like the product is catered to the people that have just been following it, and there's no like reintroduction of the characters to new people like you and me. So I just want to point that out. I consider this to be a little bit of a criticism and like a bit of a scale down, if you want to be honest. Like, they're cheapening the production quality by doing this to me, and it's like, you got 70,000 people attending this event. Like, there's no need to skimp out, it seems like.
Right. And also having those storylines, who is feuding with whom, it makes it more interesting because I had no idea who these people were in the ring, the women or the men. I might have
Absolutely.
heard some names before, but that's it.
I mean, and you're talking about a product that is capable, when it's at its best, of even getting people like my dad, you know, in the early 2000s to be like, hey, what's up, jabroni? Like The Rock used to say. It is that powerful. Somebody that probably never even watches this and never would watch ever in his life. No offense, you know, like he doesn't. It is soap opera garbage. I'm admitting that, but you're just watching it to be entertained, right?
Yes.
And I feel like that's lacking a little bit. And then you don't get to see these guys perform on the mic. Spoiler alert: Jey Uso won the Royal Rumble last night, and I just don't care. I really don't. I don't have an affinity for him. We saw him on Raw, on the Netflix Raw, and we saw him here, and I'm just what do you want me to say? I'm not impressed. Like, I don't see a dedicated physique. I just see a lot of hype and not a lot of substance, to be honest. And so I'm just wondering why he's so popular, why he's being promoted so much. I mean, like, he apparently has the merch numbers to like back up this stature to win this event and go on to headline an event at WrestleMania. But like, when I look at the guy and look at the performance and just judge it, I'm like, what?
It did feel a little flat when it ended and how it ended. I would like to know more about the character that he is playing before he
Yeah.
got in there, just a little bit.
I want to know what we're missing from wrestling fans out there about Jey Uso, because I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing like The Rock, Stone Cold, Shawn Michaels, Triple H. I'm not seeing that level of charisma on the mic or with the dedication to your looks and your just overall performance. So I'm just not seeing it.
It's a reflection of our current state affairs,
Everyone gets a trophy, I guess.
I guess.
Well, maybe that has something to do with it. Who knows? But it just seems like a little bit watered down to me. That's all.
Men's did feel watered down a lot, and it felt a lot more scripted versus women.
Yeah, the Women's Royal Rumble I actually thought was a better event last night than the Men's Royal Rumble.
Yes.
The
And-
Men's Royal Rumble had this like twice where it happened where like, let's clean out the ring for the other group to come in. And the women's had one instance like that, but it didn't feel like so scripted.
It was so obvious It made me laugh. It's like,
Well, the ending, I think we can start with that, with
Okay.
just because it was John Cena against Jey Uso, and I had zero money on Jey Uso to win this. Like, no offense to him, but I was just like, oh, Cena's gonna win, cool. I thought they were really setting it up for him to be able to headline one last WrestleMania, and I was like, well, that makes sense. And then they kind of pulled this, which I guess maybe was a surprise ending to some like me, but it also fell flat, and I was like, who's this guy? Like.
yeah, we kind of looked him up today, and there was nothing that stands out other than the merch sales.
Yeah, he apparently has a lot of merch to his name, and according to the New York Post article that I was reading that was recapping the event this morning, it does sound like he has a deserved stature to headline WrestleMania. So we're missing something with it all. Tell us what we're missing, everybody. Don't be afraid to let us have it. You know, like we're not afraid of a few people trying to hurt our feelings or whatever with our bad wrestling opinions. Like I said, we just watched out of the blue. We watched Raw on Netflix to check it out. We haven't kept up with it. We only watched the first episode, and then we decided that we would follow through and watch the Royal Rumble because it was already being promoted during that Raw episode. And I think just the overall production quality is where I find to be lacking. I don't get to know these characters up close and personal. I don't get to see them on the mic doing trash talk, which is like half of the fun of watching this. So
Yeah, that was missing. That was definitely missing. The trash talk, the taunting before.
and it was on Raw and on the Rumble last night, both. So
Yeah.
it's missing from the whole product, and it just feels like that costs money to do because you need the wrestlers on camera more, and you need a guy back there interviewing them, playing the part, and obviously you
Maybe
need
those
somebody
are-
writing those questions for the guy to ask the wrestler to get the responses that you want. So maybe they need to hire this writer for this stuff to start happening. Let's go here.
Maybe this is where they were skimping on this whole area behind the scenes.
It just seems like it needs more build up.
It does. One thing I did like about it was the costumes. They were
Yes.
fantastic, especially the women's costumes. Not all of them, but some of them were really, really fun.
Like I said, I think as a viewer that watched in the late 80s, early 90s, watched in the late 90s, early 2000s, I'm more impressed with the growth of women's wrestling now as actually entertainment. And I just give them a lot of credit for keeping it going, I guess, and turning it into what it's become. Because it is literally like half the card now at a lot of these events. And it does seem to get as much crowd reaction from some of them as the men do when
Yeah,
it comes
they
to
are
cheers and status, no pun intended, to a surprise guest. We got to see Trish Stratus in the Royal Rumble last night. That's someone that harkens back to my era, indeed. And I looked her up. She's 49 years old. She looks fantastic. So she must be eating her meat.
Yep. She didn't win, though. Charlotte Flair won the Royal Rumble, and she's going to have the opportunity to challenge the women's world champion in Raw or the SmackDown.
Yeah, Charlotte Flair, the daughter of the legend Ric Flair. Woo! The Nature Boy. That was once upon a time his nickname. So she has the Goldilocks just like her old man.
Nice.
And yeah, but it's interesting. This was the first time, I guess, she had performed since December of 2023 due to a knee injury that she needed surgery on.
Yeah, she had a torn ACL and meniscus.
As much as we talk about that this is performance-based and stuff, they do get hurt.
They do.
And,
So the guy yesterday, he got his eyebrow slashed.
Yeah,
bleeding
that did
profoundly.
not look like it was scripted to be cut there. It was very close to the eye. I mean, you got to figure a couple centimeters one way or the other could have been very bad
Yeah.
incident all of a sudden. So it does bring the threat up close and personal when you see stuff like that. You've been getting into it, and we should get into it more. We started the event off with Stephanie McMahon coming out and basically welcoming everyone. She is the daughter of the legend Vince McMahon. And then right away it got going. The women's rumble got going. And this is a two girls started in the ring, and every 2 minutes a new person would come in, up to 30. So we basically had an hour of people entering the ring one at a time, and then there was probably, 20, 30 minutes of
Fluff.
mop-up duty to get down to the winner.
That's when we saw the commercials a lot. Other than that, there was no commercials. But yes, 30 women. There were some tagging teams fighting, but it was fun.
It was fun, yeah. The acting, whatever, the selling in the ring, it was all pretty good.
It was. They were selling the drama, as you call it.
Yeah, they were good. I thought that the event kept me interested from the time it started to the time it finished, and we did sit down and watch it. We weren't pulled away from it too much. So I would give the women's Rumble an A in terms of like quality, execution, costumes. I thought you brought up a great point about hair
Okay.
and nails. And you
Oh,
said,
yeah, nobody has broken one nail, and they all had nice, long nails. And the wigs and the hair were everywhere. But
the extensions.
The extensions, sure. Not one hair loss. Not one scratch.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
There must be some backstage rules about that, huh?
Maybe.
Don't be messing with my makeup job.
Maybe. There
Yeah.
was a wardrobe malfunction. That was it.
Yeah, well, that does happen.
Yeah,
They are-
somebody's strap got ripped. That
They
was
are
really
squeezing into some tight outfits out
They
there.
do. And some of the outfits are just phenomenal. It's like looking at the dancers or skaters, and it's probably one.
For
and that's
sure.
it.
And that's a part of the production value that is good in this presentation that we watched. But at the same time, I would also argue, like, I want to see more of it backstage beforehand, and like after they get dialed up or whatever, no pun intended, but after they get into all the makeup and wardrobe, yeah, give them a little bit of moments on time on camera and
Some
really
trash talk.
sell it to people.
Yeah, give us some trash talk.
Give us the smack talk. Yes.
Maybe
It's
that's
part
why
of
they
it.
missed-
It needs
that's what's
more
missing.
smack talk.
Smack talk.
All right. Well, after the Rumble, we got this tag team championship match. And I got to be honest, Nikka, this is the match I probably paid the least amount of attention to throughout the night.
So what is exactly a tag team? It's like 2-on-2?
Basically, you have 2-on-2. You have teams of two, and it's a specific, like you have to get tagged in by your partner in order to come in and wrestle. And the other guy has to wait in the corner. Now, there's all sorts of like shenanigans and theatrics. Like one guy last night climbed under the ring and like attacked the guy on the other side and distracted him long enough so that the other guy couldn't tag him in. And they pull out all the stops to sell this crap. But I mean, this was the match I was probably least into. This was the Motor City Machine Guns, Chris Sabin and Alex Shelley versus DIY, Do It Yourself, Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa. I don't know how you say it. I'm like I said, we're coming in cold, guys. So go easy on us. We'll try to learn these names over time through our monthly watchings.
Yeah, the crowd wasn't into that whole match either.
I don't know. Yeah, not as good as my day with the Hardy Boys and the Nasty Boys and all those other boys.
It was a filler. It really was.
The Hardy Boys did it real good. DX did it. I think it was X-Pac and I forget who his partner was now. But anyways, yeah, there used to be a lot more fun tag teams.
This one wasn't it.
This one was not it for me. All right. Well, I'm going to keep it moving here. The next up, we had this ladder championship match for the undisputed WWE championship. It was Cody Rhodes, who we do know, versus Kevin Owens, who I'm not really too familiar with, but apparently these two have a feud that goes pretty far back. And this was a good match. This was actually entertaining to watch because the ladders got used early and often during this match and added to the, I guess, the stunt work, right? There was some good stunt choreography during this match.
That's probably the best way to describe this whole thing. Is a stunt coordination.
Yeah, and then they really sold it at the end, when they brought out all the trainers and like the refs to like clean up the blood and like help the other guy up and like.
Well, this is where Kevin Owens get his eyebrow slashed.
Correct. This is when that happened, and like
At the very end
like
of
I
the
said,
match.
that looked like it wasn't maybe scripted to happen there,
Yeah.
but it was probably scripted to happen.
And
So,
the letters that they do use, they are so light because when Rhodes was climbing up to get the belts,
Yeah.
somebody had to hold it
yeah,
on the bottom so it wouldn't flip.
they must be made out of aluminum or something, not
Very light ones.
steel, some kind of alternate material, because they were
It's like-
getting slammed on these things hard, and especially when Cody Rhodes, he had no marks on his back. Or
Oh, none
nothing.
of them.
Oh, theatricality and deception, my friend, are your two most powerful agents. Cody Rhodes did climb that ladder at the end and get the two belts down and take them, and he won that match. It was and he retains his WWE championship. That's the old belt, by the way, the one that Cody Rhodes has, the WWE championship. So that's the one that goes all the way back to Hulk Hogan and
Way back.
all that stuff, all the way back to the 60s. All right, well, we have the men's Royal Rumble to finish it off.
Okay.
And so this was a repeat of the women's Rumble. You have the 30 entrants. You start with 2, and then a person enters every few minutes. And I think that's part of the fun of this event, is because no one knows who's going to come in next. Like they don't announce it on a board like, this is the order. That's the part that it's like unknown to the audience and possibly the announcers too. I don't know.
Oh, okay. Do you think the participants know the order of things?
The participants do, yes.
Oh, they do.
Oh, yeah. I think that's probably scripted out well in advance.
Okay.
But the men's Rumble got started, and again, we thought that this was maybe not quite as good as the women's Rumble, but nevertheless, there was some drama at the end that was pretty fun. It came down to the usual suspects, I guess, as we'll call them, Roman Reigns and Drew McIntyre. We're going to talk about him for a second, because I saw some commentary on Twitter that he might have gotten eliminated before he was meant to be eliminated, and he was kind of upset backstage.
And he left.
And he wound up leaving before the event finished and was pissed. So we'll have to see if there's any resolution from that, and what happens with his character.
That's a good point, because if this was scripted, that means the writing got better.
Well, yeah, you never know when you see it happening during the event, because they're acting anyway.
Right.
So like if they're acting upset, it's just part of the script. But maybe in this case it wasn't so much. So it's interesting in retrospect to rewatch that part of it and see his reaction. It might be more genuine. It might be some of the best acting of his career.
Maybe.
Well, you mentioned John Cena, who we know because he's kind of like a movie guy as well.
been in a few
He didn't
movies.
make it quite as high as The Rock, but he does those like second tier action movies with a little bit of drama sprinkled in for good effect.
That's what he was working on yesterday. More drama
he wants to get a
roles.
new acting job.
Maybe.
Yeah, so he's on his like farewell tour for WWE, and so when I said it came down to the usual suspects, at the end we had Roman Reigns, CM Punk, Seth Rollins, and Jey Uso was in there as well, along with Logan Paul. And Logan Paul got like the better end of some people in this because he
was brought in to
he kind
clean up.
of he was kind of playing sneaky.
Yeah.
Like he was in there just like, he kept pointing at his head like, I'm a thinker, not a stinker. Anyways, he got the best of CM Punk after CM Punk had kind of eliminated Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins. So just funny stuff all around with the end of that, how it came down to just be Jey Uso versus John Cena.
John Cena is 47 years old.
Yeah.
And he looked 10 times better than Jey Uso.
He looked a lot better than Jey Uso.
Yep.
Well, we're not casting judgment on people, but it's just something that stood out to me. It's like, what are we missing about Jey Uso? But yeah, it came down to John Cena and him, and I thought they were going to go with like the nostalgia main event at WrestleMania, say goodbye to John Cena, the farewell tour continues. And he still might get his day in the sun because next month there's going to be another pay-per-view event called the Elimination Chamber. But for now, Jey Uso will get a main event shot at WrestleMania in April.
That's WrestleMania 41.
41.
Wow.
Damn. Like I said, it started back in 85. Vince McMahon brought this product to TV and he breathed life into something that nobody knew would ever grow into something this popular. But man, can you believe that? 70,000 in Indianapolis. and you just do the numbers on like it's like a rock concert, man. Traveling nonstop rock concert. They must be making hand over fist.
As an organization, sure, yeah.
Definitely,
Crazy.
but I guess my argument is like put some more of that money back into your product, man, and really bring back the backstage interviews before like more cutting, more. Meanwhile, at the like you got it all right there. You got everyone dialed up. You got them in costume.
Do you
like
think because it was a Royal Rumble and you don't know who's coming, they didn't want to show the sizzle reels and whatnots beforehand?
Well, okay, I give you that, but why not on Raw then? This is something that's just missing from the presentation that we have seen, and we've not taken in a lot, but we took in an episode of Raw on Netflix, which was pretty long, 3 hours, and we took in this whole presentation, which went on for like, 6-7 hours yesterday from the pregame all the way to the finish, and it's amazing. Like that they don't have as much of this as I feel like there should be, and definitely not when you watch the old product. That was what made the old product was like they would show this on the big screen in the arena, and like you would be watching it on TV, right, just as a camera, but you could hear the audience start cheering in the background, like as they would like it was part of the presentation.
The Raw we saw on Netflix did have some mic drama, but it was
did, but not nearly as much as there should be.
right. But it was all from the old players.
Well,
New players didn't have as much time on the mics as The Rock did.
Yeah. I mean, the time, that's one part of it, but then also the backstage drama was missing. Like all the Stone Cold, kidnapping Mr. McMahon and driving him off in a pickup truck stuff like that. Where was it? Like it's supposed to be fun and extreme and outrageous.
No, it wasn't there.
And it's all confined now to just like the arena and the ring and the audience. It's about that. And it should be bigger than that a little bit.
Yeah, put more entertainment value on it.
I agree. So, well, that's my advice going forward. So we'll probably leave it at that for now. But like I said, the next event that will be considered pay-per-view, which is basically on Peacock now, by the way. So it's not like you have to shell out $50 a month to watch a wrestling event anymore like you used to back in the day. But the next event will be March 1st, and that is the Elimination Chamber in Toronto. I'm not familiar with this event, so I think we're just going to let it be sort of surprised and see how it unfolds.
Well, the chamber looks really different because it's enclosed. It
looks fun. Like there's some good stunt choreography to be had, if you will. So we'll have to wait and see how that turns out. But we are not going to watch Raw and SmackDown and everything else in between.
That leads up to this? No.
I really cannot afford to keep up with the Joneses, as they say. But also, like, I think I just want to tune in once a month and see what's going on and check back in with you guys. And we'll see how long we keep this up for. But there's a lot of fun events, it looks like, coming up this year. We got this Elimination Chamber March 1st. WrestleMania 41, April 19th and 20th. In Las Vegas, by the way, which is right around our neck of the woods. We have 2 Saturday night main events in May and July, and then SummerSlam at the beginning of August. And then at the end of August is the WWE Clash in Paris.
Oh, wow.
Like I said, this is a huge worldwide thing, now. And it's amazing to think that it was just 40 years ago, barely anything.
It's fascinating, though, how it has grown.
Oh, yeah.
And it probably, the drama that you are talking about helped to grow this business.
Yeah, it did. It did.
And now it's just being taken down in a sense.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they're trying to make it more appeasing to everybody. I don't know. There's a lot of kids that follow it now. And I think there's an image brand problem with steroids and with sexual,
exploitation,
misdeeds backstage that have transpired over the years, unfortunately, that have put the brand in a situation where they are treading lightly, maybe, and just not rocking the boat with a lot of flashy, I don't want to say racy material, but like shock value, you know, and I guess that's where I feel like the product's being nerfed, and like you're letting the writing suffer
because of it.
Instead of like, you can still manufacture and create drama and feuds, and you can still talk smack without offending people.
Yeah, that's where the good writing comes.
Exactly.
Yeah. And also, there's a lot of smaller offshoots from that sprung out from WWE. The AEW, there's some NXT, or
there's always been competition.
Almost like a cryptocurrency.
Well, yeah, there's always been competition, but it does seem that there is a lot more. We saw some is on HBO now, on Max app, the AEW. We turned it on one night. It definitely is not like the production size and scale of WWE.
They had it on yesterday.
But I will say that the wrestlers on there were pretty cut, and compared to some of the people you see in WWE, and I would just push back and be like, man, you want to be a professional wrestler, like you should take care of your body. That should be part of the gig. And like I think that's what bothered me a little bit about Jey Uso winning last night, is he just doesn't have like the goods when it comes to like, he doesn't look the part.
Right, you're spot on.
He dresses flashy. He wears shades. You know, he kind of has like vibes of Randy Savage, you know, Macho Man. He has the sunglasses and the flashy personality. And yet when Macho Man took his robe off and his glasses off and his bandana off, he was cut.
He looked like a wrestler.
He looked like a circus wrestler, which is what these guys are. They're circus wrestlers. They're not like Olympic gold medalists, except for Kurt Angle, who we did see last night. Man, no hair. I didn't know. Sorry, guys. I didn't know. I was shocked when I saw him.
Shaved it all off.
Anyways, but that's my point, is it's like supposed to be a circus, and it's supposed to be a joke of itself almost. And it just seems like it's getting lost, some parts of it. So, and now I know they can't shoot steroids, but that doesn't mean you have to like not work out.
Yeah, that part was definitely missing. The presentation overall, like how you look.
It just doesn't seem like it's as kept up universally across. Like there's always been big guys. There's always been like the karate types versus like the brutes. You could probably choose it to like a video game. Like you have a what do you call it? A knight up front or a tank. And you have like a more agile guy in the background, in the middle, and snipers from far. You know, so you have these different types, sure. But at the same time, I used to feel like 80 to 90% of them kept up their physique as part of their job. And now it feels like that number's fallen incrementally.
All it starts with the food.
Probably. All right. Well, we'll be back probably about a month from now on March 2nd with a reaction to this Elimination Chamber event, and try to get a gauge of like some narrative drama, and hopefully we'll see WWE pick up on some of this podcast and start to incorporate the things that are missing.
Sure, that'll be great.
And I promise if you do, you'll see your numbers go up even more, baby. Even more.
They have to hire the Nikka consulting group for that.
Oh, the KGC, the KCG. The KCG, everybody. Call us 1-800-KCG-5000.
That's it.
That's it. I wonder what that number actually is. I might dial it when I get off the air.
Oh, okay.
Watch it be like some X-rated number or something and be funny. All right, everybody. Well, that's going to do it for this Sunday Fun Day edition of the Nikka Sports Show. Thank you for tuning in to our second rebranded episode. Be sure to follow us on social media. It's so important for us right now. Facebook, X, Twitter, Spotify, the actual podcast page on Apple, Spotify, anywhere else, Odyssey. We are on the AUDACY Odyssey app, everybody. Exciting things happening over here at Land Nikka. And by the way, we also have a lifestyle podcast. Be sure to check that out as well for some food tips, some eating healthy, keeping active, and some shows and games.
Yeah, absolutely.
For your PS5 tickle.
And we also have a Pro Bowl to watch today.
Yeah, it's Sunday. The Pro Bowl is on, so we might react to some of that. We have a baseball podcast that we're preparing for you tomorrow, which has some Padres Fan Fest sound bites galore to share with everybody because it was fascinating. But we don't want to mix crowds here, so we're going to bid adieu to our WWE audience. Thanks for tuning in, and let us know in the comments about some of the things we asked about, particularly like what are we missing with Jey Uso. Appreciate ya.
Thank you.
Cheers.